I had this book, and I went home every night. Once I'd heard the voice of my guides, and I was like, do you have names? And they were like, well, we don't really have names, but we know that humans need names, so we'll give you, my name is Zachary, and I'm the lead spokesperson. How many of you are there? We are a group of 88 beings who then extend wider into Source. What Source? Because I didn't know what Source was at that point, and they explained it's universal energy. And here's what I've come to understand, because one of the questions I've been asked a lot as a channeler, I get asked lots of detail-based questions about who they are, where are they from, what's your relationship to them. I have to say, I'm really not very interested in those questions. So I've been a very reluctant person to answer those questions, but I've done it because I understand it's important for people to understand. But here's why I'm reluctant. There are, just over 200 of you or something in here right now, and we're all individuals. But right now, we're all connected. And we extend to all of these other people outside this room. So this beauty, who I know very well, hi, love, her family, her friends, they're all here in you. Now, right now, they might be at home. And for me, what happened to me earlier today, who I've been informed by, energy speaks and energy lives in us all the time. So the reason I completely got this idea that, yeah, we're your guides, but we're also channeling, because we're connected to everything beyond our group that has a relay message with you. The one thing that channeling has taught me is that the more questions you ask, the more it's a rabbit hole, because there is no end to it. There's no end to it, and our limited understanding of it, we can go as far as we can go. And I love that rabbit hole, don't get me wrong, it's a wonderful thing. But why I kind of started to realize that the most important message about channeling is not who the guide is, whether it's Archangel Michael, whether it's Jesus. That's really important to some people, but it became very unimportant to me very quickly, because just the fact that this could happen to me, I thought, well, I wasn't looking for that, and we're all connected to this. There are people who see ghosts. There are people who feel and sense the energy of a room and a place. We all have slightly different experiences, but my big truth, and the reason that we put this book out, I have one intention behind this book, and it's not so that people can learn about sex and sexual energy, personal power, calling back their power. Yeah, those are all the details. But I had one intention that I imprinted on this book, and it was, I want this book to help people open to their intuition. Whether that's their guides, whether that's just because they read something in here and they're like, oh, actually, that does make sense to me, and now I see it differently. I can feel it too. I can be with it. That was my intention. And any of you who've been at a workshop with me that's more than a 2-hour evening, you'll know that one of my favorite things to do is to get everyone to channel. And we'll give out paper and pen, and I'll say, so now you're all going to channel. And the room goes something like this. This is like 1/3 or half of the room. Oh, great. Then there's this group of the room. Did he say we're going to channel? And then there's this part of the room who really came as the audience for the channeling and in no way thought that and they just look at me horrified. I have never, and I mean, we have done this with rooms of people, so hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Never has anybody failed to do it. Now, I was kicking myself an hour ago because I was like, why didn't I bring paper and pen? I didn't think to bring paper and pen. Haven't done an evening event like this for 3 years, so it's 2.5 years, so I didn't have that in mind. But I encourage you tonight, and if you remember nothing else from tonight, when you go home, just get a piece of paper and a pen and write, what does my soul want me to know today? And then just write the answer. Takes 60 seconds. You might write 2 sentences. You might write a page full. The objection that I get when I present that is people go, oh, well, how do I know it's my soul or my gut? And I go, no, don't worry. Don't, just write. Just write. And here's why. You know, we all have our good side and our difficult side. You know, some of us aren't great in the morning. You know, you're like, oh, my friend Sally, she's such a ray of sunshine, and we're going to go and stay in an Airbnb next weekend. And you meet up with that same friend. How is Sally? oh, she's awful before 11 a.m. I didn't know who it was who came out the bedroom. I was like, what is this? Oh, no, Sally doesn't do anything before coffee and 2 hours to herself. So, we all have that range. We all have that side. And when you are willing to ask for your soul to give you a message, whether you believe it's your higher self, whether you believe it's a guide, whether you believe it's Jesus, whatever it is to you, it's the act of calling on something higher to help what's going on down here. And trust me, it's really, it's tricky to do. I have had people who I've really enjoyed kind of helping people with this, because sometimes they'll go, oh, you're so lucky. You've got the Z's and you can talk to them anytime. So you must never have any problems. And I'm like, oh, honey. I'm like, I'm on this planet too. We're all in this together, this crazy place that's like high and beautiful and magnificent and awful and difficult and painful and suffering for us or for other, it's a real soup. But the one thing that I've learned is that the times that I don't choose to access my higher self or the Z's, or call a friend, put on that piece of music that I know calms me down when I'm freaking out. The times that I don't self-parent myself back into a better vibration, I'm making the choice to do it the hard way. And sometimes the hard way is correct, because sometimes by trying to hack through the jungle with a really rusty old blade, I learned something new about how to angle the blade. But a lot of the time, it's just me forgetting that I can go, you know what, if you just sat down for 2 minutes and wrote, not only are you going to get some clarity for the monkey mind, but this is going to happen. Anything in the world the last 3 years that has brought you stress or anxiety? I remember very well. It was like 2004, and the Z's were channeling. It was like a group session. Something came out, and as the channeler, I'm not in a trance. I'm going to channel for you at the end of the night, so you'll get to meet them. Yes, I have a slightly funny voice, and I close my eyes, whatever. Can't help it. Trust me, I would try and do a better accent if I could. But anyway, it's a weird thing that there's something about it that just, there's a shift. Anyway, one of the things that has really come to light is something the Z's predicted, and they went, when you get beyond 2012, the world is going to become so much more emotional. Now, of course, there's a load of things 2012 was talked about, but when I heard that, I remember, I was like, oh, that's great. Everybody's going to be hugging and loving each other, which is really dumb because, emotions are everything. They're high, they're excitement, they're tragedy, and they're suffering. So, it's a really tricky time to be alive in many ways, and yet it's the best time to be alive in many other ways. And it's been very interesting to kind of go through this, especially this last 3-4 years, and to kind of have to sit with the truth of all of it. It's like you look at something and it's like, oh my God, that breaks my heart. And then you come back and you're like, okay, heartbreak moment is over, and now I'm back in the room. And the one thing that I always try and remember is that we're here for a really limited time. The Z's, my guides, one of their favorite things to say is that any of us can die like that. And they said in a channel many years ago that we have what's called exit points programmed all through our life, and that we can have, 100 of them where we have the choice to leave. So I don't know if any of you have ever, it made sense of a few times in my life where I felt like I was a bit on a knife edge, and not because of my own will, just had this very ephemeral feeling for a few days. And I was like, this feels very out of body, near-death experience. So that has always helped me to remember that if we live a long life, we're here for a really important bridge transition time, but when we're gone, someone else is going to pick up the mantle. And whenever I get too monocular, it helps me remember, wow, I am one of the ants on Earth right now, and there'll be other ants that will come along after me, and they will pick up their bit. And I say that not in any way to diminish who we are, because I do think as human beings we can be really magnificent, but it also helps me just kind of, keep it level, because there are lots of waves at the moment, and not all of them need our attention.